So thank you, Tenae, for being here. And I just wanted to start with giving you like an opportunity to just like introduce yourself, share what you've built, what your business is all about, and how you serve.
Yeah. Well, I'm Tenae. My business is The Witch of Lupine Hollow. And really, in many ways, like above all, I'm an astrologer, but also a coach and an author. And I really help people to live their most magical lives, to have rituals and magic in their daily lives in a way that they can be consistent with, that feels good for them personally, that they can be confident with. And I do all of that really through like the cycles of nature. So astrology, the seasons, the moon, and really finding like your own rhythms.
I love that. I love what you said about like helping people live their most magical life. Like that is really amazing. I've always loved that. So I just wanted to, talk a little bit about our experience working together. I've learned so much from you as well. And I feel like in the nature of our work, it's so synergistic and we worked together for a long time, so I think we got to see each other grow in so many ways and help each other grow in so many ways. And I was looking back, I was trying to remember like when we officially started working together, but honestly it like wouldn't even go that far back in my current email. So I got back to 2019 and I don't know if that is when because I saw
I
Eminence,
think so. Yeah. So I think Eminence was the first like time when we really worked together. But I remember when I signed up for that program, and I think it was like spring 2019, maybe. I remember I was like, I know this person, and she's so familiar. And I had gone back in like my old files or something, and I had at the time some worksheet or some download that you had promoted like years earlier, like from like 2017 or something.
Right.
We hadn't worked together before that, but I had apparently been following you for years, and then I think Eminence was the first thing.
Yes.
Way back when.
It's amazing. I mean, like time is just so confused. But it feels like really long now. So yeah, okay. So we're in agreement on that. So it's been like a while, and we had been working together till I don't even know when that was, but was it?
Sure.
Yeah, it was like.
I'm not sure. I know because we've been like on and off over the years, like different programs and private one-on-one at times, and like I don't even know.
Right. Yeah.
But
it was like probably like within the last maybe more than 6 months, but something like that. I can't remember. Yeah.
Possibly.
We're also so interconnected with like mutual connections and stuff. So yeah. So okay. Well, I have my questions, and I really just, this is about like showing people what's possible. And that I've always valued like sustainability. And so I think that conversation is just so interesting, to be able to look at the full journey, because we see so much in the online space that's like these like immediate sort of instant results, which are amazing. We all like love having a quick and instantaneous form of manifestation or whatever results. But at the same time, I just think it's so powerful to look at businesses that really took the time to like build the roots and be sustainable. So it's kind of amazing because you and just a couple of other clients that I had the privilege to work with for a long time, and with that being like our shared like value and goal, it's cool now to be able to look and see and kind of reflect and share what has worked, like what about that process is maybe different or is like really, again, sustainable and long lasting. So I wanted to ask you, And just along those lines, like, what do you feel working together and our unique synergy and approach, how has that like led to a sustainable business model for you now?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because thinking back to like Eminence, which I haven't thought about in so long, so many years ago now. I launched what is still really my like main signature program then. And I remember I've been talking about this a lot lately with some friends that I had a membership. I knew I wanted to have a membership. Like I knew that that model just really appealed to me of like the recurring revenue and just like a seasonal approach. Like I knew I really liked that. And I had started one, I think it was probably right about the time we started working together, maybe a little before. There was a lot going on in my life at that time. And I had started this membership and I recently went and looked and I think it had maybe about 10 members in it or so, maybe 5 to 10 members. And I did it for like a couple months and something was just off about it. Like it wasn't quite what I wanted to be doing. It wasn't really selling the way I wanted. And so I ended up closing that. And then a couple months later, starting something new, which now I'm still running almost 3 years later. And so I guess I would have started the program, Starlight Coven, during, which it wasn't called that at the time, but during when we first worked together. And I mean, having number one, having like long-term support as you're building something that's meant to be long-term, right? It's not like a one-off offer. It's not, just a class you're going to offer 2 or 3 times. Like it's something that you're going to be doing every month for the foreseeable future. Having long-term support through that, I think was really helpful because I don't know if I could have like kept my eye on it without not only like some encouragement and inspiration, but also all of I guess having someone who really knew what was going on with me and with the offer and, what was really in it. Like, I just think that's really different. And then also, I mean, that program is going to be celebrating its actually, I guess this month really is celebrating its 3rd anniversary.
Oh my God, yeah. So
and also this month is about to cross that one offer will by the end of this month will have collected $100,000 by itself.
Oh, oh my God, that's amazing. Whoa, that is huge. Tenae, that's amazing. I had no idea. But
Yeah,
that really makes me happy. Like I'm about to cry.
it's crazy.
That's so cool.
And I knew all of those pieces visually, but I hadn't put them together until just now. But like it's the anniversary this month and it's going to cross that month this month.
Isn't that amazing? Like,
wow.
So I guess we're totally on point with the timing. That is congratulations. And like, what a sense of like, just there's such a feeling of like just wholeness in that to me. Like just knowing that when you feel that you're meant to do something and that you want to do something and you really commit to it, which you did, you were like truly an amazing client and a dream client for anybody because, well, for me, but that's a huge part of it too, and I think that conversation is happening around like the client and like being a great client and like you truly were and are, I'm sure to whoever you work with because you always did the work, and the work, is different for each of us, but I was always so grateful to see how, committed you were to your mission and to the programs that you created, not just like to get those instantaneous results, but really in the long run. Like I really saw that you wanted this to be where it's at now and even more, which it will continue to grow. And that's just so cool. That's like a real accomplishment. So yay.
That's crazy. I had never thought until recently to look, like I track each year kind of how much each offer brings in, like what percentage of revenue and things like that. But I never thought to look at like how much has any one offer made in its life,
Right.
And I looked it up, I was like, oh my God, it's gonna be now. Like
That's amazing. And it's like, it's so cool too, because it's like, you know, there were tons of struggles and challenges, you know, on all the levels of like the strategy of it, and then, you know, the practical, but then, and, you know, the mindset, and that's for all of us, you know, we all have our things that, and so just to be able to look at it and see that, wow, like that is where it's at, is so fulfilling.
Yes,
So, oh my
definitely.
God. And
Yeah.
so like, can we talk a little bit about what those challenges were? I know that it's been a while, but I'm sure you still have, you know, things come up all the time. So, you know, since everything we do is rooted in astrology, you know, and our work always was, maybe we can kind of talk a little bit about it from that context. Like, what were some of the bigger struggles? And this could be for any of your programs. And then how the approach of astrology was useful and helpful in like really kind of working through those things, and again, coming to a place of like real sustainability in the long run.
Yeah. I mean, I think probably the biggest like mindset thing that I have always struggled with and still struggle with, like have been feeling today, that always comes back up, is just the like the trust and the belief that things are possible. And I definitely think like it gets easier when you can look at your numbers and look at your successes and be like, oh my God, this program has made $100,000. Like that's amazing. And that definitely it definitely helps. But I mean, you know, like I'll be doing a promotion and, you know, maybe I'm not quite hitting my goals, or I'm not hitting my goals at all. And I have a hard time. I always have a hard time, like believing that, you know, things will come in at the last minute, and, you know, the sales are always possible, and someone's listening that you don't even know is there, you know, like all of that stuff I have a hard time with. And I definitely think that we worked a lot on those topics, and so much of it I know is like connected to my North Node and Sagittarius. And I know we worked a lot on that. I remember working a lot on my Mars quincunx or in conjunct Saturn, which can be a tricky one too.
Yes, thank you for that, because you know, it's just really fascinating to hear you reflect back, like which of those aspects and placements like you feel were like really significant for you. I definitely think the North Node piece is just huge for all of us. So thank you for sharing that. And so like, how do you feel, or maybe just what was the most impactful or like profound thing about that approach that maybe sets the work we've done apart? Or not to like compare anything, because I believe that we're each just absolutely unique, and even if somebody's out there doing exactly what you do, it's just about like your synastry with a person. But yeah, like maybe you could speak on that a little bit as well, because it's sometimes one of those things, I think, that until you like experience for yourself a certain approach or a certain like solution, it's a little hard to really understand it, or like, feel into it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And I think that that is one of the most challenging things about selling any kind of an offer. That's like an experience, right? Like even if you have amazing testimonials, which we both do, right? Like it can still be hard for someone to really wrap their head around, like,
Yeah.
well, what is it really going to be like to experience this thing? You know, not only how is it going to change things for me, what's going to be different, you know, what results am I going to get? It's not just that. Like I feel like that's actually more tangible for people, of like, oh, I want this result, whether it's, you know, I want to make this amount of money, or I want to feel this way, or whatever it is. Like they know what the result they want is, but they don't necessarily know like what is it going to be like to work on this with you. I think that's one of the most challenging things to work through with selling and marketing. And I definitely feel like the astrology approach is what really made us working together so different, is because it wasn't only based, not only was it not just based in the strategy, you know, it also had like the custom, more energetic side to it. But I think it also just really helps you like validate and like, or at least for me, right? Like really articulate what you're struggling with or what's not working, or, you know, like, oh, this, one of my favorite things about astrology is that it really gives us kind of like the grace and the reminder that things are never permanent, right? Like, okay, Mercury's about to be retrograde and all of our Zooms are not working and it's really annoying, but it's not forever, right? Like, and it's on like the really practical level, but it's also on an energetic level of like, okay, I feel really stuck right now, but I'm not going to feel that way forever. And I feel like that is also true just with your own chart of like, okay, this is who I am and my chart doesn't change, but there's so many different ways I could express this energy. And just kind of like being able to articulate where the problems are, where the challenges are, and also how they could be different, how they could look different, you know?
Yeah. Yes. That's awesome. And that pretty much is. And it's just like you said, you know, I'm at a point in my business where only now, you know, am I able to really kind of reflect back and understand like the true long-term effects and kind of transformation that I facilitate, right? And I'm sure for you as well. So I think that's another piece of it is like sometimes it, or maybe all the time, I don't know, but it's okay for it to take time, like longer than you think to like really like settle into not just your gifts, but like your effect and like your like unique transformational process that you are here to take your people through. So I just love that. And it's again, it's just like this sense of like wholeness that I'm feeling. So thank you. Um,
Oh.
so I wanted to ask, what were some special milestones that you celebrated or achieved during our time working together, and also not just like the good, but also things that maybe now you can look back in hindsight and see how they, even though maybe they were challenging or whatever, how maybe you can see that they really were serving you as well. So anything that stands out.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, definitely there's like, you know, the big enrollment and like revenue milestones and things like that. Like I basically doubled my business revenue every year from 2018 to 2021, I think. I'm not on track so far this year to double last year, but at least to meet it or surpass it. So that's still great.
Yeah.
And so those, you know, I mean, there's my first six-figure year in there. There's big revenue milestones for sure, definitely while working together. One that sticks in my head is I don't do a lot of private coaching. I never have. It might be something I may bring back at some point, but I did my like largest transaction, I guess, and what felt like a complete game changer in my business in terms of sustainability. Because there was a period of, I guess, probably about a year of us working together where I was still really struggling, right? Where I was still like really in it and like trying to build this business, and I was still working part-time for someone else. And like, and then the
Yes.
pandemic happened in the middle of that. Like there was just a lot of
Mhm.
things happening personally and like in the world. And I was like getting by, but struggling, you know. And I was selling this offer. It was the highest price thing I had ever sold. And I really don't think I really believed that anybody was going to buy it. But like I sold it for however long. And I remember so clearly, it was the last day that it was available. And I remember like texting with you or Voxer or whatever we used at the
I
time and
totally
being like,
remember.
it's not going to happen. Like, such a waste of time, such a disaster. And you were like, just reach out to that one person one more time. And I'm pretty sure you like walked me through what to say. And you were just like, just do this. And it's like, fine, okay. And I did. And the sale came in like pay in full, biggest transaction ever, like pretty much like more revenue than I'd made in a month. It's a date, you know.
Yeah.
And even though I still don't really sell things at that price anymore, although maybe that's coming back. It was like a turning point for sure, because after that, even though I wasn't making those types of sales all the time, it did like, it gave me so much more hope and like and trust that like things can happen even when you really don't think they can. And even though that's still something I struggle with, and that's just like an innate challenge for me, like it is one of those moments of proof that I still think about and I still turn to, you know. And it was, I mean, within, like, I had been struggling. That was like halfway through 2020. And I'd been struggling the first half of that year. And by the end of that year, like I'd had my first 10K month, and I'd had my first book had come out unrelatedly, but it had. And, you know, I'd had like this amazing, huge event that was like so much better than I thought it was going to be. And like all of these things happened after that. And even though I don't think they're like practically, logistically connected, I do think that they are connected energetically, and that it just gave me so much more hope that it was possible, you know?
That's amazing. Yeah. And I think that it's like that momentum, you know, it's like that, that positive momentum and trusting like yourself, you know. And I want to touch on that too, because I think this is so important. So like when you reached out or when you did it, like how did that feel for you? And how did that sale go in the long run, right? Because I know in my business there were times where I had to find that line between like being proactive and showing up and asking for the sale and, you know, leading the way. And then at the same time, like not forcing things and not kind of doing things that didn't feel right to me. And I always tried to like walk that line, you know, and make sure that I was in integrity with myself. So I want to like talk about that more just in general. I think it's so important. Like what was the long-term outcome? How does that feel for you? And like what, like you said, it brought about an energetic shift that led to like all these other great things. But like what do you feel that was like really about for you? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up working with that client for a long time. It was a great relationship. And I think it did, because I never really felt like I had an issue with like being salesy or like all these things that people are concerned about often. Like it's just not something that was ever really that much of a worry for me. I was always
Venus and Aries.
Exactly. I was
Cheers to
comfortable
Venus and Aries.
going. But I think it did help me like feel more comfortable and kind of knowing what to say and how to talk to someone, like not to convince them or not to, you know, sell them something they don't want or they don't need, but just to like actually have those conversations. And to like something I still struggle with at times is that like attachment to that one person and that one conversation. And that is a fine line, I think, with sales around like, how can you like talk to someone and be totally, you know, excited for them to join and also totally unattached to them joining, right? Or buying whatever the thing is. And that's really hard. Like that's really, really not an easy thing to do. But I think that was one of the first experiences where I felt like I really didn't think it was going to happen, but might as well talk to this person one more time, right? Might as well just, if they have any more questions, if there's any other concerns that I can address, cool, right? And then, you know, like best sale ever. And it was amazing. And it was a great experience working with them too. So, which that, you know, I've certainly had the flip side, right? I've had very easy sales that needed no conversation and then not a good experience working with someone, you know? It goes both ways. And I've been very lucky that I've had very few like, you know, quote unquote bad clients or difficult clients or, you know, and we all have people that are difficult for one way or another, or who just weren't a good fit for us or for our program or whatever it is, right? And, you know, I don't think anyone is really a bad client. It's just sometimes it's not a good fit. And I've been lucky that I've had very few of them. But they do stick in your head, right? The bad experiences or the really challenging experiences, they do stick in your head. And I think it's important to like pile up just as much proof that you have, you know, maybe probably way more clients who you loved working with and who loved working with you than, you know, those couple of those couple of bad experiences. I think I went on a tangent. What was the question?
No, but it totally is such a good thing to talk about because, you're so right. Like those negative experience, the tricky, experiences, fortunately haven't been many, but they can become big kind of obstacles for us, but I think it's so important to recognize, that fine line, like we were saying, where it's like, yeah, we have to show up for our work, and we have to believe in it. We have to communicate in a way that, again, shows up for the people and, and what we're here for. So I just think that's amazing. And I really appreciate you sharing that and being so open and just, honest about your experience. I think it's so inspiring. And I love tangents, so it's fine. So and it goes back to that sustainability piece, right? So where he's watching this and they're considering working with me in some capacity, and the astrology part, maybe, I really try to not speak too much astrologies or make it like this difficult thing, but I know, you obviously know astrology, but what would you say working together from that lens? Because like, I definitely love strategy, as you know, but I also, obviously really try to root it in the energetics. So like, can you share a little bit about that side of things? Like, how was it to kind of have both, in terms of the strategy isn't just like one size fits. It's not like we're just blindly choosing strategies, right? We're basing it in either astrological principle or like your chart, right? So
Right.
is there anything that you would share with somebody who's maybe sitting and thinking like, I want to do this, or, that sounds really interesting, but like, I don't know much astrology, or I don't really quite understand how it would work?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the most impactful things about the way we work together is that your approach to astrology is so shamanic and so like based in working with the planets. And it's not just like, looking at the chart and seeing what's there. It's really more about like, what do these represent in our lives? And I mean, we worked so much on Venus and Aries, that's something we share. And, I think that work and several other things we worked on too, but that one definitely stands out in my mind as like working with that part of yourself, like it's not just like, oh, Venus is about money and love and connection and all these things. It is, but it's also about like your own Venus, like who you are as Venus, how you express that. And I don't know, I think like it's almost hard to put into words, but it's so energetic and I think really so magical to work with your chart in that way. Like I think it's really unique and really different. And I think applying it to your business is really powerful because, and I do business readings and things too for people, right? But it's so different. Like it's not only every reading you get is so different because everyone has a different approach and sees something different in your chart, but there's just like, I don't know, it's just such a really specific approach that I don't think very many people do and use and work the way that you do. And I don't know, I mean, I think, I don't know, I don't even know how to say it.
Like a je ne sais quoi?
Yeah, like just do it. Because it's, I think really understanding those, I mean, like in my work, I say archetypes, but I feel like that's not even quite the right word for what you do. Like it's more than that. It's different than that. It's like more of, more kind of divine in a way, right? Like really working with them as gods and goddesses in a sense, even if it's not literally, like, does that even make sense? I don't know if that will make sense to someone, but
I really appreciate that. Yeah, no, I thank you, because it is hard sometimes to put into words something that you've experienced, like we said before, and I do appreciate it, and at the end of the day, it's just so energetic anyway. But I really loved working with you so much because we could be super strategic and super energetic. And that was like just so fun, and just it just flowed, and it was like we just knew when one was needed and when, you know, when we could kind of go more into strategy and then kind of say, hey, wait, I think we need to check in some things here, you know, and look and have the chart as a tool, you know, to be able to just really understand what was going on the surface level. And that's probably
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it, that like, you know, because the chart can be expressed in so many different ways in your life and in your personality, like it's not, the working with you is less about like a reading and you know, understanding like, oh, this is what my chart means. And it's more about like, how am I expressing this, or how might I want to express it differently? You know, I mean, because each part of our chart, like there's shadows of every part of our chart, and there's beautiful light in every part of our chart. And I think the Venus and Aries stands out with that because it is such a specific and challenging one.
it's a real doozy.
Very juicy.
But it's an amazing teacher. It's an amazing teacher too.
I think that, you know, there's so many, not only is it so empowering, right? Like I hate when clients come to me and are like, oh my God, this astrologer that I worked with, you know, told me that I had this horrible thing in my chart, and like that drives me crazy. And I think, you know, the way that I do astrology, the way you do astrology is so not that, you know, it's like, okay, this thing is tough. This thing is not always easy. And right now it's being expressed in a way that's not easy, but we can change that. And like, let's work on that, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. Thank you. So my final question for you is, let me just feel into it. So, you know, if there was just one piece of wisdom or something that you would give to somebody who maybe is similar to you, or maybe is different, but is, you know, seeking that long-term sustainable and, you know, really deep, like lifelong commitment of a business, based on everything your journey and what you have worked through and are still currently working through, is there anything that you would like want to give to them and just share with them from all the work we've done, from everything that you've gotten out of, you know, this shamanic astrological business approach? Yeah, that's what I would want to ask you.
Yeah, you know what like popped in my head is, and I think this is relevant in so many ways, is that really time is not real. And especially in your business, you know, like we, not like you were saying at the beginning, right? Like not only do we see all these things online of like, oh, you know, we make $100,000 in a month and things like that. And that's totally possible, right? Like that also, it also applies there. Like time is not real and you can absolutely do that. And also like, you know, on the one side, like we beat ourselves up for not being where we want to be, for not growing as fast as we want to grow, right? Like I'm definitely in that right now. Like my business is very successful. And also I'm not totally on track for some of my revenue goals this year. And that doesn't mean it's not possible to hit them. And also it doesn't mean anything, you know, like it doesn't mean anything. And it's like both we put too much pressure on ourselves to grow really fast. And also sometimes we grow too fast, you know, or we grow in ways we didn't mean to, or whatever, you know, but my point being that like, wherever you are in business, I mean, just thinking back to when we started working together in Eminence, like, I mean, that feels like 1,000 years ago. Like,
maybe so, it was.
Well, exactly, right? Maybe it pretty much, because like everything that's happened in the world, everything that's happened in my life, everything that's happened in your life, like we've both moved, we've both had crazy things happen in our lives. Like to think of me sitting, granted, at this same computer that is about to die, but sitting at this computer that was new at the time, but sitting at this computer in my little like bedroom office at my like childhood desk, basically, that I was working from at the time, that didn't have, it had an air conditioner, but it was so loud that if I wanted to be on a call or anything, I couldn't have it on. So I would have to turn it off. And it was summer and it would be like 97 degrees in my bedroom where I had my setup and I would be doing my lives and stuff and then turn the air conditioner on as soon as I was done. It was terrible, right? And I was making like no money. I was brand new. I just started. I mean, I was making enough money that I had quit my job, which was probably not the best decision, but in the long run, it definitely was, right? Like, I was there, and that was 3.5 years ago, and it's so different.
And now where are you?
And now I mean, same computer, but
I still have mine. Those are hard to let go. I'm like, I can't, there's way too much on here that I need that I feel you.
Yeah, it's limping along. It's not going to make it through this next Mercury retrograde, but same computer. But now I rent an office space out of my house. I've since moved in with my boyfriend. Don't live in that same little townhouse anymore that was 97 degrees all the time. Live in a beautiful house, and it's just so different. It's so different. And yes, I'm making money that at the time I couldn't really have imagined or believed I could make in my business. And, I knew I had books coming out, but they weren't out yet. Now I have 2 books published. Like, I mean, it's so amazing. Different,
Yeah.
and I think it is where I knew was possible then, but I don't know, like it just 3.5 years doesn't seem like it could possibly hold all of that. So wow, my piece is that time is not real, one way or the other, right? You can grow so much faster than you think you can, and also don't try. And
it's also okay to slow down and to like let things be what they are for that time, right? Yeah, that's really profound. Thank you for sharing that, because I think that's another one of those big kind of, it's like, we have these beliefs sometimes around like, okay, if I do this and this happens, then okay, then the next thing can happen, and it's very linear. And I think that just again, reminding ourselves that it's never really linear, and it's really not, this depends on this, and I have to, it's like so much, that we put into place, right? But it's really very, very open and, not as clear cut as a lot of times I think. But I couldn't be more happy for you. And, just to check back in and see that you're still like totally, thriving and still learning and growing and evolving, like that's a great sign, of course, right? Like, because it means your heart's still in it and that you're still in it. Sometimes we just end up feeling like a little complacent in our business too, and that's not the point either. Like, I really believe business it's like a relationship, so I'm just so happy for you, and I really, really appreciate you sharing all of this and being so open. And like I said, and I'll put your links and everything so we can see what you really have built, which is amazing. And just continue to be who you are and shine your light, because you are impacting so many people and have like such a gift of showing up in a way that is so true to you, and that I think that's like the Taurus, so it's always inspiring. And I love that you're taking your gifts and your, unique energetic signature cosmic codes and allowing that to be like your gift in the world. So yay, Tenae.
Thank you. Oh, this has been really nice. It's been really great to catch up, and I hope it's helpful for people too.
Thank you. I know it will be. Thank you for recording it for me.
No problem. Here, let me stop recording.
I have no idea what time it is. I hope that I didn't take